Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for joining in today. Today is Wednesday, December 3rd. We're in December at the end of the year. We want to thank everyone for jumping on. We have a very exciting topic today. As always, we're going to go into our weekly webinar, take some FAQs, and just answer all your questions. If you have any comments or questions below, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll be happy to answer them. Today, we're going to go into the top 5 reasons you may think you want to downsize before you think you're ready. I know sometimes it can be a touchy subject. A lot of times, we have people that we help that are very comfortable in their homes. They want to stay where they're at. They have all their relationships there. I was helping one customer that didn't want to leave because he had a great relationship with his mechanic, if you could believe it or not. But these are all real things, and sometimes downsizing means just restarting some new things here and there. So we're going to go into some reasons on why you think you may, on why you may consider doing this before you think you're ready. So you can go and visit all the homes on our website. This is usually the best way to start when you're thinking about moving. You can go to over55nj.homes and search for all the homes there. If you want to send us an email, go to over55nj@gmail.com. Just drop us a line. And you can always send us a direct message. We're not hard to find. We're a complete no pressure and no rush company. This topic may seem like we may be rushing you a little bit, but these are just some things to think about, and we have some really good stories for you to consider. We don't really, we completely support whatever you want to do. If you want to stay in your home, if you decide to move elsewhere, we have a great referral network across the country where we can set you up with the right person. But as always, we support whatever you decide. Our job is just to educate you, give you the pros and cons of each options, and kind of like a caddy in golf, you hit the golf ball, and we just kind of support you whatever you decide and what you're trying to do. We can only give you recommendations and just educate you on the pros and cons of each option. So, read a great article in the Wall Street Journal. Tough article to read at times, but incredibly heartwarming and a very endearing story. So the columnist was a writer who ironically wrote about retirement and what retirement would look like for many readers. Um, married to married for a long time, I believe, to his high school sweetheart, who came down with Alzheimer's, and she very sad story. Very sad story. So I'm going to bring up their picture here on the screen, and there they are. So it was just a very tough story to read, and basically the gist of the story, I would encourage you to read it. But the gist of the story was this was a retirement writer, right, that wrote to thousands of readers on how to retire, how to plan the perfect retirement, and then he got thrown a curveball when his wife came down with Alzheimer's. And beautiful story about taking care of someone in sickness and health. We all know some people that have gone through some similar situations, and the Alzheimer's and just being a caretaker just pretty much became a full-time job for him and just literally changed his life and all his plans. And what kind of struck me about the article was he wrote that just the perfect retirement is not guaranteed, even if you plan for it. So this is someone that did all the right things, saved enough money, tried the best he could, and still life threw him a curveball where retirement just looked a lot different than what he planned for. So one of the things in the article, and the article has like a lot of great gems and learning lessons, but I'll read this off to you. In hindsight, for instance, the author talks about things he would have done differently. And one of the big things he said, in hindsight, we should have downsized. We had talked about it for years, selling our large empty nest with our bedroom on the second floor and moving someplace more manageable and affordable, a home or community where we can age in place. I was certain it would be the right decision in the long run, especially if one of us or both of us became ill or disabled. As is often the case, though, inertia got in the way. Today I have my hands full caring for Karen, as well as our house and our large yard, and it's a headache I could have avoided. So kind of tough to read here, and what kind of jumped out at me was inertia got in the way. So we all have inertia in our life when we make these big decisions. We're probably going to do another webinar on this, on the psychology behind this and how you could overcome it if you do decide to make a move or if you are planning to do this. But these are big decisions, and just even with someone who's a retirement planner that writes about these things, just inertia got in the way. He procrastinated a little bit, and he should have done it a lot sooner, and probably just before he thought he was ready, because life threw him an unfortunate, tough situation that he has to manage now, in addition to the bigger house. And just think about how hard it is to kind of move in a situation like that, how much harder it is now, just because he didn't expect all this. So this was kind of the inspiration of the topic today. We're going to go into that story, and we're going to give top 5 reasons why you think you may want to accelerate your plans. Now, the best way to start doing research, like we said, is on our website. You can start doing some targeted searches. You can reach out for us for guidance. But here are some reasons, the top 5 reasons, just to get started. And it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to be like going out looking at homes right away. Like I said, the easiest way to get started is just to do some searches on the internet. And it could just be small, 5 minutes a day, a weekend over a cup of coffee. We have a very good website with a lot of great information on it. So the first reason, top 5 reasons to consider retiring early, is lower monthly costs and retirement savings. So this may seem pretty obvious. Saving a lot of money in a lot of cases is pretty much one of the major motivators of people that come across us. And you'll be surprised how much money you can save. We have one customer that just couldn't believe it. He wiped out his entire mortgage. He lives debt free now. He has so much money in savings left over, and just really stacking a lot of just saved income that he didn't have ordinarily, and starting to plan for a rainy day. You never know what's going to happen down the pipeline, especially as things get more and more expensive as inflation rages. So this is a very smart move for a lot of reasons, particularly the cost savings reasons. So that would be number one, and kind of to plan ahead for a rainy day, like we said. This is the smart move to do in a lot of cases, especially if you have a house that's too big for you and doesn't really suit your needs right now. Number two, long-term care insurance. So we talk a lot about this a lot on this group and on this webinar. We actually had a long-term care specialist advisor, Bridget Irvin, a friend of our group and a member of our group that consults with our clients on long-term care, assisted livings, and things of that nature. So long-term care is exceedingly expensive and kind of shockingly expensive in a lot of cases. And we anticipate it to go up with inflation. For just long-term care, the average cost is $7,000 to $8,000. For memory care, it can go up from $10,000 to $14,000 a month. So these are big expenses, and if you're not saving for them, if you don't have the long-term care policies in place, downsizing can really just make sure that you're in the right position to do so. We have a lot of people that are just generally the house and the real estate, the equity they have is their saving grace to pay for all this. Very, very important to kind of just look at your assets. We can give you an estimate of what your equity would be and in your house and what you could walk away with. Feel free to reach out for that. And so you can start planning ahead for this. And God forbid you don't have to use it, but just something to plan for, just in case of the author in the article. Someone, if you need additional care for that and additional care and things of that nature, this is something to start planning ahead for as a plan B, and hopefully you never have to use it. Number 3, this goes directly into the article as well, is life events. A spouse coming down with Alzheimer's or another illness, someone taking a fall. We've seen that before, people taking falls in their house and just being either permanently disabled or just bedridden. These are things to really start planning ahead for and kind of safeguarding yourself against. We helped one client whose husband passed away, and she went into a deep state of depression, just couldn't really function, if you will, just couldn't do like the basic things, and was just in a very dark state of depression for a long time. And of course, things kept adding up in the house. Water kept coming into the basement. It was just very, very hard to start getting moving. So downsizing before you think you're ready is kind of a proactive way of just getting ahead of, it's kind of like a proactive way of getting ahead of the curve. I'm reminded by the Wayne Gretzky quote, one of my favorite quotes, is you got to skate where the puck is going and kind of start moving before you think you need to. So the smartest downsizing solutions we see are very proactive, because you never know what's coming around the corner. And the article of just being a caretaker and just kind of getting morphed into that role, which gets progressively worse over time, is a perfect example of this. So just definitely go before you're ready, and definitely think about starting to make moves and starting to do a little research ahead of time, because unfortunately, life is predictable. As the John Lennon quote goes, life is what happens to you when you're making other plans. And boy, is that the case. Number four is the house could be a current liability. So your biggest asset, the place where you spent years in, could turn into a liability. What I mean by that is the roof leaking, getting a new roof, which is easily $15,000 minimum. Appliances go pretty quickly, especially the new ones. I don't know about you, but appliances don't last as long as they used to. And I think that's by on purpose. So instead of repairing the appliances, we end up just replacing our appliances, fridge, washing machine, you name it. HVAC systems can get very expensive, and you'd be surprised how many people we see that have their HVAC systems running on the last leg 20, 22 years, and those go, and that's something you'll have to come out of pocket and pay that you didn't think you had to. So don't turn your house into a current liability. Just make sure you have a good, solid understanding on your equity. Like I said, we can help you for that. We can give you kind of like a cost breakdown of what you're going to walk away with from your sale, not just the sales price. And we always do that analysis first. A lot of sellers come to us with that, for a better understanding on that. So we're happy just to go into that for you, and so you have a good understanding of what you're walking away with. Helping a young couple, this is kind of unrelated, who bought a house built in 1938, a little bit older, and their house is progressively breaking down, just little things, titter tatter. But they're a good example of just people that need to sell. They have a lot of equity in their house and trade into something, maybe a little bit smaller, maybe a different location, but something a little bit more brand new, because they're just going to keep coming out of pocket to fix things, and things just start snowballing, especially with houses that are a little bit older, and it's just going to get progressively worse for them. So be proactive. Don't let your house turn into a liability, and don't let these things snowball, because the costs really add up, and with inflation, everything is very expensive right now. So just be very cognizant of that. And then the last thing, this is one of my favorites, one on a positive note: your future self will thank you. It's always a challenge moving, even for someone like that I just described, a young couple that still has to move. But your future self is going to thank you, and also your loved ones are going to thank you. You'll be surprised with the relief a lot of people will have that you'll be on a single level, that you'll be in a safe, well-run community where you don't have to shovel snow, you don't have a big house to worry about, you don't have to carry out your garbage cans. It's a big stress relief, not just for yourself, but for your loved ones. And your family will thank you. You'll thank yourself. And there's a lot of there's something to say about change too. Just getting into a new place, getting into a new house. It's a very positive experience that could be a nice little refresh. So although the move is always a little bit uncomfortable, moving kind of stinks, we always say. So we always kind of get behind the motivation behind a move, because the motivation will push you forward. Once you're there, your future self will thank you. So let's see if we have any questions. Are there any questions in the chat? If not, we'll get you out of here early. I think next week we'll kind of build on the inertia of what the author talked about, like the big quote that kind of stuck out for me from the article is inertia got in the way of downsizing. So we're going to go into reasons why people put it off, some ways to overcome that, and just answer any more of your questions. If you have a topic that you want covered too, feel free to send us a direct message, or feel free to drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. We want to thank you again for being part of your group. It's an honor to serve you. I hope you and your families had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah right around the corner, so it's a fun time of year. We'll see you next week. And as always, feel free to reach out to us with any questions. We'll see you soon.